everyone, and while I have a man here who doesn't need any introduction, but still I would try to say some few words. Like, he has been a cool con man of one of my favorite movie, Bunty and Bubbly, a gritty gangster in Yuva, and no-nonsense cop in Dhoom. But off-screen, a pretty intense Kabaddi team owner, right? So, and everything, basically, whatever he has done with style, with humor, and with a whole lot of swag. So, please welcome me in joining Mr. Abhishek Bachchan for this fireside chat. Thank you. So let's start with Kabaddi, right? 2014, when Kabaddi was not exactly a sexy game, right? Cricket IPL was had become #1, and IPL had so many followers and all. What made you invest in Kabaddi? What was the idea behind it, behind the team owning?
Firstly, good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. Kabaddi was something that literally came out of the blue. It was a chance meeting with Mr. Mahindra and Charu Sharma, and we have a common love for sport, and they knew I was a big lover of all sports. And Mr. Mahindra just by chance asked me, said, I know, I like basketball very much. So he said, and we always discuss basketball. So he said, I know you like your basketball. Have you ever thought about Kabaddi? So I said, I played it as a kid, but no, why? What are you thinking? And he said that they were planning on putting a professional Kabaddi league together. And it just sounded like a good idea. And I think that's a good starting point for anything. It should appeal to you. So me and my team went about doing some research on, Kabaddi, because having played it as a child, you still think of it as that very rural sport played in mud. But if you see modern day Kabaddi, it's very modern, it's very fast-paced, it's dynamic, colorful, and terribly exciting. And I remember we found out that there was a local tournament going on about 15, 20 minutes from my house in Juhu. It was being played in a chawl. And I went there in as incognito as I could. And there were about 10,000 people cheering and watching and going crazy. And the energy was insane. And I turned to my team and I said, we have to be a part of this. This sport is very exciting. And that's where it started from. It just started on a hunch. It started as most things that I do out of just a love of doing what I want to do. And there has to be a personal connect. I like the idea that Kabaddi is India's indigenous sport. It's over 3,000 to 4,000 years old. It has its origins in, Hindu mythology with Abhimanyu and the Chakravyuh. That's actually how Kabaddi came about. That's why you have 1 versus 7. Chakravyuh was 7, circular motions. And I just like the idea that we could put a professional league together for India's own sport. Cricket, football, we love them all, but they're all inherited from, the West. So that's how it started. And thankfully, it went on and has become very successful, so no complaints.
I mean, I've seen you at the final of, I think, last year when you reached. You were there fully supporting your team, right? And it was very, very interesting to see full passion. You were there, you were out in the mud. But that's one Kabaddi. What are your learnings from owning a team like Jaipur Pink Panthers?
Yeah, get a regular ECG done, I think, is the biggest learning. It's very stressful. But I think my greatest learning after season 1 of Kabaddi was that where there's a will, there's a way. I didn't come from a background or was trained or equipped to run a professional Kabaddi team. I'm a film actor by profession, and that's where my training lies. But this is something I really wanted to do. Sports and ownership and management is something that I've always wanted to be a part of. And I think the greatest learning, apart from several other smaller ones, but the big learning was that if you really put your mind to it and you want to make it work, and you work really hard, it can happen.
So from Kabaddi to football, 2 very different games, very different origins. Why football then?
I'm a big football fan, and I went to British boarding school. Football was part of your life growing up. I was a huge football fan of the English Premier League. I had, as a child, spent a lot of time in Chelsea in London, so I was a Chelsea fan. And I remember many years ago at one of the World Cups, I think it was Rio, if I'm not mistaken, I had a chance meeting with Mr. Sepp Blatter, who was the then, the head of FIFA. And he, in a very joking manner, said, 1.2 billion people, you can't put 11 guys on a pitch. And he laughed. I got offended. I was like, but he's right. With the kind of talent pool that we have, why aren't we competing in the FIFA World Cup? And that's where I decided that I have to do something with football. And coincidentally, around that time is when the ISL was being put together. And me and my partner, Vita Dani, we won the bid for the Chennai team, and that's where it started. So it started from wanting to make a difference, believing that we could hopefully help the ecosystem. And, it's a matter of pride that since the ISL started, our national rankings have grown. So you can see that there is some payoff over there. So football is because, I was a big fan of football.
But Chennai FC, in a way, had its highs and lows. So, how do you approach leadership when the scorecard is not in your favor?
It's very difficult because for me, with pretty much all that I do, be it a film or be it even in sports or anything, I've always said, apart from just being one of the owners or owner of a team, I'm also the first fan. So I take it very personally. I don't like losing. But the one thing sports teaches you is how to deal with the loss. What's the important thing to learn is how can you trim your sails and carry on? How do you adapt? How do you learn from your mistakes and pick up and go? But, 10 seasons, Chennai's been champion twice. I think that's a pretty fair and healthy success rate. But yes, it's a sport. Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. You just have to learn to keep trying to be as consistent as possible. So it's very difficult. Like I said, it's not for the faint-hearted. We were discussing this backstage. But I think one of the learnings is you can't, in sports especially, you can't really rest on your laurels. Even if you're the champion, I think you have to work twice as harder the next season to maintain it. So it's not like, don't fix something that's not broken. It's not about something that's breaking, but your players are there. They're going to get older. They'll get slower. They're going to be different formations. There's so many moving parts that it's a constant process of evolving and adapting and learning.
I love to say that about our job also. We journalists are as good as our last byline.
Yeah, well, I guess everybody in this room is as good as their last release or product, I guess. Yeah. You opened the gates for this documentary, Sons of Soil, right? For Jaipur Pink Panthers. Was that the actor inside you, producer inside you, or that was always the plan to open? No, that was always the plan. That was one of the things I love doing. I love watching sport documentaries. They're very inspirational. It's nice to see what goes on behind the curtains, in the wings of the sport. It's something that I've always been very, very affected by, and I was very keen to do that with especially Kabadi, because I feel there's a huge story to be told in Kabadi. And so I was very, very happy that the BBC and Amazon Prime decided to come on board and make Sons of the Soil. It's the first ever sports documentary on a Kabadi team, and thankfully drew a lot of interest. So it wasn't the actor in me. I wanted to take a back seat, but make it about the players, which predominantly it was, but obviously being the owner of the team, they interviewed me a lot.
No, but does it help to be, when it's a celebrity, when it's an actor, and a storyteller in a way? Does it help the team also in that brand rub-off effect in a way?
Interesting. In terms of ownership, I don't think so. I think with maybe sponsors, slightly, because you can leverage your celebrityhood or whatever little celebrityhood you have to get that initially. But at the end of the day, I think people, after a period of time, the sheen wears off, and it's more about how's the team performing, what is the demographic that it's appealing to, can I advertise over here, other people. For example, football and Kabaddi are two very different sports compared to cricket. cricket is a very advertising-friendly sport. After every 5 minutes, you can break to commercial. It's a slower sport, so there's a lot more visibility for sponsors. Kabaddi's high octane, full contact, very fast. And there's no changeovers, nothing. It's a 20-minute half that is relentless. So there's lesser visibility. There's lesser time to give, advertising. Plus, the demographic that would possibly see Kabaddi is very different to that would see football. Football currently is a very urban-centric sport. Kabaddi is pan-India. Thankfully, it's broken into metro cities as well. So, you have different kind of advertisers that will want to advertise. And, so as a celebrity, you can draw a bit of attention to that and say, okay, I'll leverage myself. But after a while, they're like, okay, is this really helping our brand grow? Are we getting the kind of exposure that we want? Do we get the bang of the buck that we need? So I think initially it does help, but only in the sponsorship. As in ownership, no, not at all. It's actually detrimental because actors, I think, have a very different mindset to, say, a sportsman. Sportsmen are far more regimented. They need to be. That's the demand of their job. Actors are the kind of people that are on 24/7. You can make a shoot 4 or 5 days in a row and we'll keep doing it because that's what we need to do. So we have no concept of time. It can be midnight. We'd be like, no, we're ready to come and shoot. Sportsmen can't do that. So I think it's detrimental in running a team. Over there, you have to learn how to manage, whereas actors, you're busy being managed yourself. So, that doesn't really translate there.
So investing in sports, is it passion that you see or potential or a balance?
Passion. Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll come to the other part, not apart from sports. You had an investment in Ziddu, right? That was a very interesting one. And what did it teach you about the timing of investment? Because I believe you exited from that at a very handsome returns, right?
Yeah, I can't complain, yeah.
Okay. So what about that? What was the idea behind that?
I don't think timing has anything to do with it. I think you have to decide when you're willing to get off the bandwagon, or when you've had enough, or this is all I can contribute. To be very honest and blunt, I think we got very lucky with Ziddu. In tech, I think, as I'm sure you all are far more qualified than I am, but there's a huge quotient of luck that's involved in any sort of startup. And I think we got lucky with that. So the one thing it taught me is that there's no rules in investing. You just have to be a bit instinctual.
But what I've seen, I found it very interesting is Ziddu is a tech company, then Vadam, the tea brand, and Nagin, the hot sauce.
Yeah.
And now Swiggy. Of course, we'll talk about Swiggy later. But what was the idea? I mean, it's like very different segments. So is there any central theme to it? Or how do you think that, okay, this is what I want to invest?
I'm glad you asked that because I get asked this very often. And what's really exciting me currently is the whole India story. That really excites me. And for me, as an investor or even as an actor, there has to be some personal resonance in whatever I do. Otherwise, I get very bored. I'm not the kind of investor who says, okay, I've got some, disposable income here, let me put it here. I can't. I need it to be interesting to me. I need there to be a personal story to it. So currently, the whole India story is really exciting me. I was sent to Europe to study when I was 9 years old. So I had a very Western upbringing. So my view on India was from out in. And now that I work here and I've obviously been here since I finished college, to get a world view from within India is very interesting to me. And to see that today we're very unapologetic about what we do. We're market leaders in whatever we do, and it's wonderful. And there's a great sense of pride. And I'm enjoying that story. I like the fact that something as basic as 20 years ago, if you wanted to go get something which was cutting edge and in fashion, you had to go abroad. Today, you get it here. I like the fact that today we are competitive and comparable to any of the top brands across sectors. So that excites me. You spoke about Nagin. It's very simple. I chanced upon the sauce. I really liked it. And I reached out to them and said, hey, guys, I'd love to work with you and help you. And that's how it started. Thankfully, in my household, we like spicy food. So everybody, uses it. So I like to invest in stuff that I use. That excites me. I'm not somebody who can keep an arm's length from my investments. I like to, how do you say, try to be a strategic partner more than anything else, I like to reach people and say, okay, here's an opportunity. This is what I feel I can do for you. I'm not very good at just standing there and waving hands and, using any sort of, how do you say, brand ambassador kind of role or just showing up.
Not the angel investor, but a strategic partner.
I prefer that, yes. Because I want to see it grow because I like it. Similar with Vadam, I saw it somewhere and I just loved the packaging. And the packaging drew me to it and I said, hey, this is called Vadam, that's an Indian name. And I'm like, oh my God, it's an Indian brand. And we reached out to them and me and my team and we took it from there. So these things excite me, and I really think we're very proud about what we do today in India. And that makes me feel great.
That's very interesting. So after the instinct or the India story, what is it that you're most drawn to? Is it founder's vision? Is it scalability?
No, I think the one thing you learn initially when I first started investing is it was just, oh, I like this idea, and then you burn your fingers a few times. And I think those are very important to learn from. But then obviously scalability is a huge quotient to it. Today, with the kind of experience, you realize that, is this a business that can grow? And how big can you make it? What is the potential of the market, et cetera, et cetera. So scalability obviously is now a huge priority, but I still believe it needs to start with genuine love for what it is and the passion for it.
So if somebody comes to you with a pitch, what is it that you look for and what are the red flags?
The first thing I look for is who's making the pitch. As actors, we're trained in body language, so I prefer to read the person who's making the pitch, because that's going to be the engine of the product. I've received several pitches where the ideas are very good, but just the people involved might not have what it takes or be willing to go the distance. So for me, I like to read the people behind the brand first.
That's interesting. So coming to your investment philosophy, what does value mean to you, both as an investor and a storyteller?
Well, initially it was, is it a source of happiness for me? Then you realize that happiness is also a very expensive thing. So you then start realizing that, is this going to make me some money as well? So you don't want to be, nobody's here to do charity at the end of the day. It sounds very nice to say all these things, but everybody's here also to make money, and you can't be losing money. So obviously, value comes in. Are you going to get a return for your investment? Plus, coupled with that, is it a product you can be proud of? I'm immensely proud of all the products that I'm invested in. And like right now, I was just speaking to my friend Akash over here, and we were just discussing, we do a lot of our investment work together. And like say, I invested in Swiggy some time ago. And I did it because, it sounds a bit funny, but I really like misal pav, all right? And my favorite misal pav is Mamledar Misal in Thane. Who was that? Who hooted just now? Well done. Yeah. So, and my breakfast is Mamledar Misal from Thane. But obviously, shooting the way we do, which is daily, getting Mamledar Misal from Thane is a bit impractical. And suddenly I discovered it on Swiggy. And I'm like, wow, I got to be a part of this. So, we reached out and I actually put it out on Instagram. I was so excited. And they got in touch and we, invested and took it from there. And I just love the fact that some of your favorite foods, you can just literally press a button and it'll be in your house within half an hour, 40 minutes. Similarly with Zepto. These kids weren't even born when I started working. I don't like saying that, but it's true. And today, just look at the wonderful work that they do. It's amazing. It's amazing. They've become like, these beacons for the world to say, hey, age is not a construct and we can do this. It's amazing. Press a button in 10 minutes. Even if you need ice, if you're at dinner at home and you've got some friends over, you run out of ice, you press a button and it's there. It's fantastic. And this is all being done here. You know, we don't need to have that complex of, oh, it's a bahar ho raha hai. No, it's happening over here. And Indians are making this happen. I love that.
That's very interesting. I mean, when you think about it, from getting a printout to getting a toothbrush, toothpaste, or anything, now even an iPhone, and Skoda trying to deliver a car in 10 minutes, right? That's funny, right?
Yeah, that should be fun to watch that happen, yeah.
So coming to, as an actor, as an investor, what is more rewarding to you? Seeing a great script succeed or seeing investment soar?
Wrong forum to say it, but for me, it's still a great script. I mean, I'm an actor at heart, and that's my first love. So, a great script coming to life. You know, when you read a script and then you dream about how it'll be, and once it comes out and it's exactly what you want it to be, and then hopefully the audience likes it. There's no better feeling.
Once an actor
Earning a lot of money off a great investment also is a close second. Is a close second, but this is incomparable.
But सपने, what was the dialogue? सपने देखो
सपने मत देखो, सपने कभी सच नहीं होते. मेरा बापू कहता था. लेकिन मैंने सपना देखा.
Right. So, but over the years, has your approach to risk changed from first investment to next, or first film to next?
Well, luckily in film, you have to be a risk taker, right? You have to try and maintain an edge. You have to tell a newer story. There's a very famous saying that, give or take, there are only about 9 stories in the world. They're just told in different ways.
The 9 rasa.
Yeah, and so you have to try and find a newer way to say it. We were discussing this backstage with, the advent of satellite television and now OTT platforms. I think what has happened is suddenly our audience, which is traditionally only going to a big single-screen theater to watch a movie, now has world cinema at the press of a button. So not only has their attention span reduced, so if they don't like what they're watching, they press pause, they're gone, but they're getting to see stuff which come from different nations, different cultures, different societies, different storytelling. You're competing with them now. You can't just be about, oh, this is just an India story. You're competing with the world. When that's the case, you have to keep thinking of what new can I do? How can I attract them to come watch my product and then keep them there and interest them? And so in films, you're continuously trying to do that. I think investments are slightly different. You can't have, just that approach.
Right. And do you see, your generation of actors are approaching at money and finance differently than the previous era? Because, the previous generation was mostly real estate mein dal do, right? But now there are avenues as well as opportunities. You also invest a lot in real estate, but are there more opportunities now, and you and your generation looking at these diversified kind of investments more?
Evidently. I think that's a factor of time. For example, when my father's generation and all were there, they were so busy working because that was their only source of income. I think today actors are willing to make films their main source of income, but not their only source of income. That's what I've tried, because that gives me the freedom and liberty to make the kind of films that I want to make and tell the stories that I want to take, which may sound a bit of a risk if that was the only thing. So I can afford to price it more competitively because I don't have the pressure, thankfully, today, of running my house based on just my films. I've spread that across all my other stuff as well. So, and there's that much more knowledge, there's that much more information available to you that you can go out and invest. So I think the younger generations are a bit more cognizant of all of this and are trying their level. It varies from person to person. It's an individual choice. I have a lot of colleagues who want to have nothing to do with investments. They just want to do their movies and that's it. There are other people who are interested in it. There are certain friends of mine who are first businessmen and then they're actors. So it varies from person to person, but I do see there are a lot more opportunities today.
No, but do you see this as a legacy building also? Or
Absolutely, absolutely. That's something that really drives me. For me, it's always been also about, can you make a difference and can you leave behind a lasting impact? That drives a lot of my decisions, be it in my films or in any of the businesses that I take on. It's about creating something. Can you be a differentiator, and can you leave behind some sort of an impact?
And what has shaped your perspective more? Is it a failure or a success?
Success will never ever teach you anything. Failure will teach you everything, and we should stop looking at failure as a bad thing. I think it's inevitable. It's also very important because success is only built on failure, not the other way around. And like I always say, success is great, makes you feel great, but failure is what's really going to teach you. Yeah.
And do you have any role model in investing, maybe here in India or outside?
No. No, no.
True. And do you see a future where you launch your own fund or studio incubator?
No, 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 no. That's too much stress. Like I told you, being a team owner is very stressful. This will be even more stressful. Yeah. With the average age of these new young kids, oh my God, they'll drive you crazy. No, no, I'd much rather just invest in them and help them grow if I can, and jump onto their bandwagon. I'm not, like we're actors, right? So essentially I'm used to being told what to do and how to do it. And then I give an input of maybe we can try it like this and this will help improve it. I don't think I have that ability in me. But never say never, you never know.
Never say never.
Yeah.
But I like the clarity that you have. So if you had to give one piece of advice to the next generation, to creators or athletes on managing money, what would it be?
Have a long-term view, especially to sports people. I've been involved in sports for now 12 to 13 years. I've seen some wonderfully talented people run their course and then have a very hard time because they haven't managed to plan. They're going to be good days, and guaranteed they're going to be bad days. So prepare for those bad days. Be invested carefully. Make sure your money is earning money for yourself. Don't just spend all of it. I mean, I'm not very big on saving in that sense, but I still believe that if you earn money, then make sure that money is also earning something, even if it's just lying in the bank. So, you know, be invested so that you're covered and you're taking care of your future generations.
And as I can see, the time is up, so I will ask the last question.
Ji.
What is your comment on today's film business scenario? Because we are seeing a time when a lot of films are failing on box office. A lot of films are not releasing, like 250 odd films are ready, but they are not getting a release window. And Hindi film industry seems like going through a time where everyone is trying to understand what is happening with the viewers.
ये सवाल मुझे बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आता है. This question has been asked for the last 50 years. We're still around, we're still the largest film industry in the world, we still shell out almost 1,000 films a year. How? Why? Nobody's really been able to successfully answer that. If everybody knew what makes a successful film, all the films would be hits. But you're talking about a commercial art. It's a very tight rope you have to walk. Nobody has the answer to that. Nobody goes out saying, "Chalo aaj acha de rahe hain, aaj flop film banate hain." They don't do that. You're out there to make a successful film, and it's a business. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. The problem is you're dealing with an art form which is going to be judged by a third person who's not invested at all, even emotionally, in what you're doing. And they judge what you have to do. Why are films not releasing? Films have always been made and have waited for the right time to release. That backlog has always been there. I don't think the Indian film industry, or if we're narrowing it down even further, the Hindi film industry is going through some major problem. This is an issue we've always had. You have to see, audiences' tastes change, and they change every Friday. The only difference is today they're a lot more impatient. They're not willing to accept something on a regular basis that they've seen before. They want to see your effort. They want to see you do something different. What new am I going to learn? I feel the younger generation is, they're more interested in the experience of watching a film. So is the story something that can take me on a ride? Is the experience of going to the movie hall with my friends and family, is that something that I'm going to enjoy? Don't waste my time. Give me an experience. So I think these are things that always change, but these are no new questions. These are questions that have always been around. It sounds very nice to say we're going through this really tough period. You're dealing with the film industry, which shockingly has historically had an average success rate of between 2 to 8%. But the Indian film industry has been around over 100 years. It's just something that we love. We love our movies, and we're going to continue watching them. You can't be complacent about it. You still have to try. But like I said, it's a commercial art. So you're always walking that tightrope between the business of it and the art of it.
Basically, if we are worthy of your time to asking the consumer. But great, on that note, thank you. Thank you very much for spending time with us.